training class again the first day. Anyway, thank you so much for coming, folks, and welcome to the annual Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans and War Dog Remembrance Ceremony. I'm Jim Fletcher. I'll be your master of ceremonies. I'm going to try to keep things moving, folks, and all I ask is that you enjoy yourselves and remember our veterans, and specifically our Vietnam veterans, those that are here and those that are not here. Please rise for the posting of the colors. We will also have the singing of the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance by Cody Palmer. Post the colors!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Remain standing as we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order! Halt! Right shoulder! Halt! Right! Hey! Forward! Halt!
Please be seated. I want to thanks to the AVAS Color Guard. They always do a great job, and it's great to see them. The invocation will be given by the chapter chaplain, Linda Pugsley.
Some here may not be on the God page of life, but would you be a good fellow American and stand quietly by with those of us who are while we have a sacred moment? Thank you. Dear God, we acknowledge you as sovereign over all the earth and that you have set the boundaries of the nations. Because you are supreme, we humble ourselves before you today, thanking you for the freedom we have in this country and for the men and women who have done so much to preserve it, with some who have even given their lives in the quest to maintain it. Help us today, Lord, as the wounds of our hearts and memories of all that happened in Vietnam are still healing. Help us to understand the value of the sacrifices we made so long ago. Let us never forget those who bravely served with us, but who did not make it home. May we live our lives doubly well in their honor. We thank you now, Lord, for the opportunity to remember and to honor all those who have served in Vietnam. You did not run, but stayed the course. Welcome home. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Amen.
Thank you so much, Linda. She always does a great job. Welcome to you all, and especially to our honored guests. I'm going to introduce them now. Please hold your applause to the end until everyone has been introduced. First, I'd like to recognize those on the stage who have honored us with their appearance. Representing our County Commission Board, Commissioner Harry Cohen from District 1, Commissioner Gwen Myers from District 3, which includes this park, next, my dear friend and a friend of all veterans, and those who know him to be that individual, City Commissioner Luis Vieira. Please, no applause for him. He's not up for re-election yet. Our keynote speaker, David K. Dunning, the Executive Director of James A. Haley Hospital. Thank you, sir. Welcome. Most of you know him as Big Frank Strom, head of the park. All right. Good man. Okay. Also out in the audience, I believe we have in the VIP tent a true friend of all of us, Dr. Colin Jakey, and her husband, Colonel Gary Harbaugh, retired. Are you back there, ma'am? Carrie, I'm sorry. Good to see you, sir, ma'am. James Ring, representative from the office of Congressman Scott Franklin. Are you with us, sir? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. We have Sergeant Roger Emery, United States Army, retired, and I believe it's your wife, Mrs. Emery, Roberta. Thank you. And also we have with us, and I'm very, very pleased, I'll talk more about them later, the members of the Vietnamese community of Tampa Bay, headed up by their representative for this event, Anna Nguyen. You probably see them. They're in Vietnamese clothing. At this time, please let's give them a round of applause. Most importantly, I want to welcome you, the Vietnam-era veteran, and your family. All of those who served in Vietnam and served during that time frame, I want to be the first to say, welcome home. As we do at all of our celebrations here at the park, we will now conduct the POWMIA Missing Man Remembrance Ceremony. Jim Haney, a chapter member of our chapter and an advocate down in the Sud City Center, will conduct the ceremony, assisted by Mike Odell. Did you make it, Mike? Yes. Okay, excellent.
The table that stands before you in a place of honor. In setting this table, we acknowledge those missing from our celebration this morning, and we remember them. The table is small and set for one, symbolizing the vulnerability of a lone prisoner against his captors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing purity of intention in responding to the nation's call to arms. Remember. The chair is empty, for they are not here. Remember. The wine glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us this morning. Remember. The slices of lemon reminding us of their bitter suffering. Remember. The grains of salt representing the countless tears of the families. Remember. The single red rose reminding us of loved ones who keep the faith, awaiting their return. Remember. The burning candle and yellow ribbons symbolizing the everlasting hope of a reunion with the missing. Remember. Remember all those have served alongside them. We who have donned the same proud uniform, being sworn to the same faith and allegiance, we will never forget their sacrifice. Remember. Remember until the day they return home or find eternal peace, we will remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim and Mike. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce our keynote speaker, David Dunning. His complete bio is in your program, and I invite you to look at it if you've not done so already. But I'd like to highlight a few items, if I may. Can't pass up an opportunity to recognize a truly great American. Mr. Dunning has 30 years of Army medical experience. He served 2 combat tours. He served as a commander of Cliplet Army Medical Center in Hawaii. He has 2 master's degrees, 4 Legions of Merit, and 2 Bronze Stars among his numerous awards. Most recently, he was the director and CEO of the VA Medical Center in Memphis. He's a football fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hostile crowd. And he enjoys scuba diving. He just told me he had a little vacation a couple of weeks ago and got a bunch of dives in, so he's pretty relaxed. Please, if you would, welcome Mr. Dunning.
Thank you, sir, and to the distinguished guests along with me, welcome. I don't want to leave anybody out, and so I won't name individually because that would be kind of embarrassing. Somebody get their feelings hurt, and don't want to do that. You might have seen me laugh right after the invocation because it was pretty funny to me. I knew I was home when we got to the invocation, and most of you said amen, but this young gentleman right here said airborne. And so it took me back. It literally happened. That was and I flashed back. So thank you very much for that memory. But I did. You might have seen me smile and giggle just a little bit. I was like, I know I'm home. I'm among friends. Airborne. So and then some. Yeah. So thanks for the kind invitation and the warm hospitality from the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 787. This is my 4th official time out here, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret, so don't dime me out the next time you see me here. My wife and I come over here about once a month and pop in on either a Saturday or Sunday and just wander around and talk to veterans. So if you see me, don't dime me out because I'm trying to get at truth, and I ask people questions, and most of them don't know who I am yet, but that's probably going to fall away here pretty soon, and everybody will know who I am. But and usually I do bring my wife with me, by the way, so I can ensure that we got at least one Coast Guard veteran in the crowd. She's I call her a unicorn. She served in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and Kodiak Island, Alaska. So, and she is a Vietnam era veteran. She came in right into the era. So I usually bring her with me. So again, I know that we got at least one Coast Guardsman in here. She puts up with me when I call him the JV Navy. I got that from the commandant, or whatever they call the admiral. Is it the commandant of the Coast Guard? He came and spoke at an event I was at, and he called it the JV Navy. So I usually get smacked on the back of the head when I say it when she's in the audience. So good morning, and thank you for coming to commemorate this courageous service and the immense sacrifices of the veterans of the Vietnam War. But while we're doing that, we also need to remember the actions of the war dogs that served in the Vietnam War. An estimated 4,000 dogs were deployed. They were invaluable not only because of their ability to detect explosives and sense the threat of the Vietnam, and they saved over 10,000 lives, but I don't know about you, but I saw them the last time I was in theater in Baghdad. They give a lot of healing just being there when you get to stop, because you take that vest off and all of a sudden they become puppies. You know, when they have that vest on, they're all work, focused, not a crack in the armor, but you take the vest off and all of a sudden they're a puppy. And I'm glad to see we got at least one in the crowd back there. But yeah, invaluable service. They were more than early detection devices, and they weren't just pieces of government issue equipment. They were companions to many who served, and many service members fought to be able to bring the retired war dogs home and make them a member of their family, and give them that, in the final, after serving downrange, that love of a family. And so I congratulate those of you who were able to do that. I'm sure there were people in the crowd, and thank you. We join other VAs across the nation and other organizations and communities such as Tampa, St. Pete, the whole Tampa Bay area, federal, state, local, nonprofits, private business, and holding public events to recognize Vietnam veterans and their family and to express gratitude for everything you did for this country. I can't imagine not being welcomed home. My experience was completely different than yours. And I can't imagine not having been welcomed home and walking through the Atlanta airport when it went dead silent and the seas parted as we marched single file through the Atlanta airport and everybody stopped and clapped for us. I would like for our Vietnam vets, I know most of you out there, stand up, please. Without it, I guess. Stand up, please, so we can welcome you home. Okay? Thank you. Yeah. And we get the special welcome. Thank you. So, like I said, I wanted to acknowledge you. I wanted to thank you and give you the welcome that I got home, because it was pretty emotional for me. I can't imagine the inverse and how emotional that was to not be welcomed home when you came home. And some of you to be spit on. I can't imagine that.
They spat in my face. Me too.
And I'm sorry. Let me apologize for that person who spat in your face. Let me apologize, and I'll carry that burden. So, and I also want to thank the families that stood beside you. So we want to honor our Vietnam vets. Ladies and gentlemen, those were your Vietnam vets. Okay? I got ahead of myself a little bit because I got a little bit emotional there as we were talking about it. In so many ways, our country failed to do right those years ago and welcome you home, lift you up, and honor you. And that's why we're here today, to welcome you home and to honor and to show you up as an example to our young youth. We've got some youth in the very back here. These are the example of the men and women that you want to be. You want to carry that burden with you, and you want to carry America on your shoulders, especially in these trying times we're in now. We're seeing some things. Hopefully it won't come to that. All of us veterans know the price it's paid, and we hope that that price is not going to be paid by this generation coming. The Vietnam Veterans Recognition Act of 2017 established March 29th, which I think is Tuesday, as the day we pause and commemorate, remember, recognize, and honor veterans Vietnam veterans, prisoners of war, and those listed as missing action, their families. This is actually the 50th commemoration, I think, today. No, it's not the 50th. We're slightly short of that, but we're coming up on the 50th. But why the 29th of March? It was 49 years ago today that the inactivation of MACV, which was the Military Assistance Command Vietnam, a term that stirs so many memories for those of you out there. You know, even as I was when we pulled out of Vietnam, I was 10 years old, so I remember the tail end of it. I remember my cousin Ernie Sullivan, United States Marine, and I remember him coming home. I was just a young child. I think I was 7 when he came home, and I didn't really understand it at that time. And but I understood it later when I came home and Ernie called me on the phone, and we spent hours talking about, and he welcomed me home, and we talked about it and we shared. So it was nearly a half century ago that the Hanoi Hilton closed, and we welcomed those veterans home. So on this anniversary, we recognize all who served in Vietnam, in theater, and anywhere around the globe between November the 1st, 1955, when the Military Assistance Group Indochina was redesignated as the MACV, and May 15th, 1975, when our service members fought and fell off the coast, on an island off the coast of Cambodia. The names of the heroes who sacrificed everything in that final bloody battle are the last names to the far right as you stand looking at the wall. They're the last names to the far right on that wall. If you ever have I think almost everybody here has probably visited the wall. If you're a Vietnam vet and you haven't, please do. It's our honor. It's what we put up there to honor you. Don't miss it. And if you stand looking left and right, it's immense. It doesn't seem to end if you're standing close to the wall. And be very, I know the Vietnam veterans do this, but if you're not of that era, please be very cognizant of the men and women who are leaning against the wall as they're touching the names of their buddies, as they're touching the names of their family. As they take the piece of paper that's provided and they put it up against the wall, and they take the piece of pencil and they trace it so they can take that home. I have one of those, okay? It's not my family, but I have one of those. It was a close family friend. But be cognizant of those people who are doing that, because it's a sacred moment for them. But I invite you to do it. You get a real sense of that magnitude as you stand there, and the pride and the price that our veterans had paid for that sacrifice. Behind the more than 58,000 names chiseled in stone are those who served and sacrificed with them. That's only 58,000. There's at least 1 million behind them that came home with the wounds of war, not all of which are visible. We recognize that today. We didn't recognize that back then. And so, to the other casualties of war, whose name is not up on that, I honor you also. But as I said, you'll see people up there, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters who sacrificed, some that never knew their father. The only thing they have is that name on the wall. But when the nation called, they all answered. Again, I ask you, please join me in just a moment of silence as we remember. As we remember you, remember your sacrifice, remember those on the wall. Thank you. You know, the President often says that our nation's most sacred obligation is to prepare and equip the troops we send in harm's way and to care for them and their families when they return home. Because when somebody serves, we make a promise. We made a promise. If you fight for us, we'll fight for you. If you serve us, we will serve you. If you take care of us, we will take care of you when you come home. The whole country makes that promise. And it's our job at the VA, and it's our job in the VSOs to keep that promise. Because we didn't do very, very well at keeping that promise in the 1970s, the 1960s, 70s, and into the 80s. The tide kind of turned going into the 80s. It became a recognition that we had not done what we should have done earlier. And it's our mission at the VA to care for those who have borne the battle. As President Lincoln had said, it's the job of every VA employee to serve our veterans, their families, and caregivers every bit as well as they have served us, to deliver timely access to world-class health care. We haven't always kept that promise or fulfilled that obligation as we should have. There's no group of veterans who better understand what it means to keep their end of the promise and have a country break its promise. Back then, when veterans came home, the Veterans Administration came up short. America came up short. We failed. We failed to uphold that sacred obligation. And so, to those veterans who stepped in at the VA, to those non-veterans who stepped in the VA and helped us change that mentality and help us start to meet the promise, thank you. There are ones out there who are, as I tell my employees there, they're serving today. And so I thank them for doing so. What's really interesting is the Vietnam veterans were the ones who established the storefronts, the vet centers. That was the Vietnam veterans who did that, who established a storefront that wasn't on VA property. It was somewhere out in the community where veterans, I got somebody coming in my nice car. So, you know, you always got to recognize something is actually bad. So, it was you veterans who helped to establish that, the storefront, because you didn't always want to come over to the VA itself. And so I thank you for doing that. It was your initiative and steadfast advocacy on behalf of other Vietnam veterans and all veterans that hundreds of thousands of veterans, service members, and family members get the benefit of the 300 vet centers across the nation. And it's thanks to you that we never moved those vet centers onto VA property, that we spread them out into the communities so that veterans had better access to those services. And that vet centers provide care to all eligible veterans and to active duty and reservists that are still serving. I don't know, some of you may know there's a Navy Vietnam veteran in Lexington, Kentucky named Harry Collins. And he'll tell you, at the vet center, we have people who've walked the same ground and have been there and done that. He will tell you that his vet center counselor saved his life. If not for her, I would not be here right now. I would have checked out. I hope all of you have found somebody, not just at the vet center, but found somebody when you have that moment, because we all have them, when you feel like that you just need to check out, that you grab hold of a buddy, you call somebody, that you're still here, because without you, we are less. We are less than when any of our veterans check out. Okay? We're used to the normal progression of old age and getting there, and there's grace in that. But we need to make sure that nobody checks out before their time. And so I ask you, if you're struggling, there's lots of people out here to help you. And not just the VA, not at the vet center, the VSOs, the crisis line. There's all kinds of people out there to help you. So today, we're fighting to keep that obligation at the VA. For those who dedicated their lives to serving and sacrificing the country, all of us. So it started with the Vietnam veterans pushing us. And at the end, in Vietnam, those veterans, like Veterans Borden, have kept serving in uniform. I still see you there. I still see the vehicles that you have donated, you know, across all the different VSOs that help our veterans get care. Some of you choose to continue serving as teachers, police officers, firefighters, engineers, doctors, and nurses, from town halls to boardrooms to states and the nation's capitals. I'm so proud when I see one of our veterans up there that's a senator, that's a representative who's serving. I'm so proud because I know that person has our interests at heart. So, and the big thing is I've watched our Vietnam veterans embrace our next generation of veterans so that it doesn't happen to them too. That's what Ernie did to me. That's what my cousin did to me. He wanted to make sure that I didn't feel what he felt, and you guys have done that time and again. In a lot of ways, we see people, well, I had to go through it, why shouldn't they? The Vietnam veterans tore that up and said, that's not going to be the way it is. They're not going to have to go through what I went through. And so I personally thank you for that. So you're setting the example for all of us. every single one of you and every family. So back in 1974, at the dedication ceremonies for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Statue, President Reagan explained as anyone could what today is all about. Those who fought in Vietnam are part of us, part of our history. They reflect the best of us. No number of wreaths, no amount of music and memorializing will ever do them justice. But it is good for us that we honor them and their sacrifice. So that's why we're here, to honor them, to honor you. Thank you for your service, and welcome home.
I think we got a friend up at the VA. We had one there, Joe, most of y'all know that. I think we got another one, we're very lucky. And Dr. Jakey as well. So if you need help, reach out. That's why we're here. I'd like to recognize with our unique plaque, and I want to publicly recognize Herman Rainey, who designed this for us. Has the map of Vietnam in our chapter, and we're presenting it to David Dunning in appreciation for your keynote speech at our Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans and War Dog Remembrance Ceremony, 26 March 2020.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your collection, I'm sure you got plenty. Thank you. Veterans Council of Hillsborough County. He has a memorial bench, and here to bring us more information about him is one we all know, Walt Racing.
Thank you, Jim Fletcher. It's a distinct honor to be able to dedicate this bench, and if I may, Miss Laurel Candelario, please come forward and stand by me as I dedicate this bench. As I said, it's a distinct honor and privilege to dedicate this black granite bench today located on the grounds of the Vietnam Memorial in honor of Sergeant Major Raphael A. Candelario, United States Marine Corps. The following is a compilation of the legacy he leaves behind, and for those interested in serving their country and to emulate. And standing beside me is his widow, Laurel Candelario. Sergeant Major Raphael A. Candelario was born in Sabanaseca, Puerto Rico, December 1948. Upon graduation from DeWitt Clinton High School in Bronx, New York, June 1964, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Upon completion of recruit training at ITR, he was assigned to the 1st Marine Division and deployed to Vietnam in July 1965. After his tour, he was assigned as an instructor at Counter-Guerrilla Warfare School, 2nd Marine Division, and in June 1967, he was reassigned as drill instructor at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Parris Island, and served with the 1st Recruit Training Battalion. While a drill instructor, Sergeant Candelario attended and graduated from the United States Marine Corps Physical Fitness Academy, Quantico, Virginia. He was a hardy specimen of physical fitness. In May 1968, he again deployed to Vietnam. During this tour, he received the meritorious combat promotion to Staff Sergeant and was awarded the Silver Star Medal and Purple Heart Medal for heroic action against the enemy as Platoon Sergeant and a recommendation for Meritorious Combat Commission. In April 1971, he was commissioned as a 2nd Lieutenant temporary and was assigned to 2nd Marine Division and Base Correctional Facility. 1973, he reverted to Staff Sergeant and reassigned to Officer Candidate School as Platoon Sergeant, where he was meritoriously promoted to Gunnery Sergeant December 1974. Gunnery Sergeant Candelario reported to the United States Army Military Police School at Fort McClellan, Anniston, Alabama, where he served as an instructor for the Department of Advanced Law Enforcement Corrections. 1968, Gunnery Sergeant Candelario reported to the 6th Marine Corps District and served as a recruiter at Montgomery, Alabama. Upon selection to First Sergeant, he was reassigned to Marine Barracks, Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico, and in 1983, First Sergeant Candelario reported to the 2nd Marine Division, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Upon selection to Sergeant Major in April 1984, he was assigned various duty stations as Sergeant Major at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Okinawa, Japan, and Quantico, Virginia, at the Officer Candidate School, Marine Corps Combat Development Command, Quantico, Virginia, in 1989. His final duty station overseas was as the Sergeant Major for 3rd Force Service Support Group, Fleet Marine Force Pacific, and on 30 April 1992, assumed the duties of Sergeant Major, 3rd Marine Amphibious Expeditionary Force, Marine Corps Bases, Japan, subsequent to his retirement after 30 years on October 1994. Sergeant Major Candelario was awarded the following decorations: Silver Star Medal, Legion of Merit, Purple Heart, Navy Commendation Medal with Gold Star, Army Commendation Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, Good Conduct Medal with the 8th Award, and various unit and service campaign awards. In 1995, Sergeant Major Candelario accepted position as an Associate Naval Science Instructor with the Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps at Lato High School, Tampa, Florida, where he served for 16 years. He was the president of the Hillsborough County Veterans Council, Incorporated, senior vice of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 807, Tampa, and senior vice of the Marine Corps League, Detachment 056, AR Goss, Tampa, member of the American Legion, member of the Marine Corps League Scholarship Foundation Committee, Tampa, and a member of the Montfort Point Marines, Philadelphia chapter. He was a faithful Catholic and a member of Nativity Catholic Church of Brandon. He was survived by his lovely wife, Laurel. He was an amazing father to 7 children, firstborn son and namesake, Lieutenant Colonel Raphael A. Candelario II, United States Marine Corps, serves in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, and continues the Candelario legacy of service to our country. Semper Fidelis. So please, join after the ceremony today at the Vietnam Memorial and pay homage to his dedicated bench. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. Our next dedication is to Dick Aarons, a longtime member of the Veterans Council, and here to memorialize him is Lieutenant Colonel John Sellers, a friend and a fellow member of the Q that they belong to. Q, is that right? A party group. Come on, let's be serious.
Thank you. It's an honor to represent U Mystic Aircrew this morning in the dedication of his bronze plaque to the park in Dick's memory. I'd like to recognize first Dick's many-year wife, Eloise. You might want to stand, Eloise. Thank you very much. Eloise was the loving care and support for Dick through his many years of fighting cancer up and down, in and out of being in remission and back having the disease for a lot of years. and the VA hospital as well. They did a magnificent job for Dick during those years. He was a Veterans Council member for a number of years. He supported this park going back to the early 90s, the expansion of it. He's very proud of what it was doing, and he would certainly be proud of this today, this ceremony today. He was also a founding member of YMA, the Mystic Air Crew. This group basically sponsoring the plaque today. And the group is originated in 1993. It was a group of military pilots who were interested in bringing on, recruiting civilian pilots who wanted to learn how to fly formation. So we brought in many local area civilian pilots flying Moonies and Bonanzas and Pipers and so forth, and trained them how to fly formation, missing man formations and things like that. Dick was instrumental in that process, and was one of the original members of YMA. We have a number of YMA members with us today. Would you gentlemen and ladies stand, please? As you can see, most of them look kind of like me in age, and so we're no longer flying as much as we did at one time. But during the time period that we were most active, Dick did most of the legwork in coordinating flybys for many different organizations, particularly our National Cemetery at Bushnell. We flew there Memorial Day and Veterans Day, missing man formations. We flew over the park many times when you had ceremonies such as this, and really enjoyed doing that. We also had other veterans organizations that requested our flybys, which we did. So with that supporting of the park, Dick was usually here on the ground while the rest of us were enjoying the flying. But because these services and ceremonies never went exactly on time, because of people taking more time than they're allotted or less or whatever, so we would hold south of here 8 or 10 miles, and Dick was on the phone with us, basically the phone to us in the cockpit, letting us know what time to leave and get here, so the timing was pretty close to being on, most of the time anyway. So, as I said, he was very proud of what this park has become, and very much with it for a long, long time. So today we honor and remember him for his dedication to the country, our community, and his lifelong pursuit of excellence in aviation. In conclusion, I would like to read the plaque. In memory of Richard Dick Ahrens, Major, USAF, retired. Major Ahrens was a Vietnam veteran who flew 443 combat missions as a forward air controller in the 01 Bird Dog. His military flying career also included flying the B-58 Hustler supersonic bomber, the B-47 Stratojet, and the F-4 Phantom. During his service, Dick was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross with Valor, the Bronze Star, and he was awarded the Air Medal 18 times. Dick was a founding member and president of the Mystic Air Crew, Tampa, Florida. He was a skilled instructor pilot, training civilian aviators in the art of precision formation flying. Dick organized YMA missing man flights for funeral ceremonies at the Florida National Cemetery, where he now rests. He worked tirelessly for the veterans organizations he loved, often coordinating Memorial Day and Veterans Day flyovers. Dick will be remembered for his enormous heart and handsome smile. He will be greatly missed by the YMA membership and those who were lucky enough to have known and loved him. Dick was a man of distinction who truly loved his country. Presented to the Vietnam Memorial Park and Museum, Tampa, Florida, in honor of Richard F. Ahrens, Major, USAF, retired, by Ye Mystic Air Crew, Tampa, Florida. And I encourage you to go over to the Vietnam area where that plaque will be unveiled here shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Mrs. Ahrens, would you please come forward? As many of you may know, the 50th Anniversary Commission provides an honor certificate program. And one of the honor certificates that they provide are for surviving spouses of Vietnam era veterans. And we didn't get a chance to give this to you earlier, ma'am. So on behalf of a grateful nation and the Department of Defense, we honor your sacrifice at home while your spouse served in the name of freedom and democracy during the Vietnam War period. Our nation is forever indebted to you and extends its deepest respect and admiration. Done this 26th day of March, 2022. And it comes with a lapel pin that has a blue star on it, and I hope you'll wear that in memory of your husband.
Blue was his favorite color.
Oh, right. Well, being in the Air Force, that's understandable. Ma'am, there's a seat here if you'd like to stay here. Yeah, we'd love to have you. Next, and the final dedication is to Marty Sullivan. A veteran of the Korean War, Marty was a fixture at this park. Many of you may have seen him because he volunteered and was here just about every doggone day. But you never knew his name. He was loved by all who knew him, and his contributions to this park will be remembered for as long as the park is here. I'm very pleased to introduce one of Marty's friends, Mark Dijon, who will do the dedication.
Hey, good morning. That was a perfect segue about people running over time, so setting conditions for me. That's great. Today I have the privilege of honoring the memory of Martin J. Sullivan, fondly known as Marty. Marty died 2 years ago during the height of COVID, so there wasn't a funeral or a memorial service because of the crowd restrictions. I only have 5 minutes to hit the highlights of Marty's 86 years of life, so I'll get right to the point. In 2017, Newsom High School created a Marty Sullivan Perseverance Award for deserving junior ROTC cadets. Perseverance is the perfect word to describe Marty's life. Marty was an orphan, a high school dropout, an unemployed veteran of the forgotten war, a widower, and an Irishman. So despite all of his setbacks, Marty persevered. A fellow Irishman. Don't let the French last name fool you. I got some of that in there too. The last time I saw Marty, it was during the COVID pandemic when everyone was quarantined. I stopped by to drop him off some groceries, and he shared this story with me. Marty's mother gave birth to him while battling the polio virus. After giving birth, his mother was sent to the polio wing of the hospital to live out the last of her days quarantined and to die alongside with her newborn baby. Marty was given a death sentence right from birth, but fortunately the doctor permitted the nuns to allow Marty to be baptized first. The nuns gave Marty to his grandmother, and she snuck him to Ireland, where he lived for the first 2 years of his life before returning back to the United States. Perseverance. Marty was raised by his grandparents and grew up in the working class neighborhood of East Boston. When Marty was 17, he quit school at the end of his sophomore year to enlist in the Marines with his two friends. The Marine recruiter rejected Marty because at barely 5 feet, 4 inches tall, he was too short to join the Marines. Marty was underage and underweight when he arrived at a Navy recruitment office, but he didn't let that stop him. Marty gained the necessary weight and convinced his grandparents to sign permission slips for him to enlist in the Navy. Perseverance. Marty told Tampa Bay Times, "We absolutely wanted to go to war, just to fulfill our duty and serve our country. When I went into the Navy, I thought I was the smartest guy in the room, the toughest guy, but I found out real quick that there's always someone tougher." Marty was most proud to have been a 2-time shellback for crossing the equator twice during the Korean War. Marty served bravely as one of the tin can sailors during America's Forgotten War. Marty started as a deckhand carrying sacks of potatoes, 50 pounds for a young guy, the small guy, it's hard, and then got to get it to 10-pound onions. So that was, for his size, a better thing, while he was on the USS Strong. Marty learned how to repair and maintain large firearms and got promoted to a fire control technician. Marty manned the firearms when the Navy destroyer launched attacks off the coast of Japan and Korea during the war. Perseverance. Marty served in the Navy for 8 years and received an honorable discharge. When he returned home after the war, Marty was unemployed for an entire year. Without a formal education, Marty said, "I knew I'd always have to be working jobs with my hands because I sure as hell wasn't going to get a classy job." Marty started to work factory jobs in Boston. First in the shipyards where his grandfather worked, then at a shoe factory on an assembly line gluing rubber soles onto shoes. Finally, he landed a job at Gillette Company in Boston. He worked his way up to higher paying positions in quality control during his nearly 26 years working for Gillette. Perseverance. Marty met his wife Alice on a blind date. They married, had 2 sons, and later 2 grandsons. In 1990, Marty was able to fulfill his wife's dream of moving to Florida in order to be closer to her 2 brothers and be surrounded by orange groves. Alice picked out their home in Strawberry Ridge, Valrico, and she chose the neighborhood because neighbors waved to them when they drove through for the first time, compared to Boston, where it might have been something else they were waving. So with just over a decade of living the Florida lifestyle, Alice developed cancer. Marty spent a year caring for her with multiple doctors and hospice workers, and he was at her side when she died in their home on December 27th, 2002. Without his wife of 42 years at his side, Marty didn't let the heartbreak destroy him. Instead of dwelling inward on the grief of his painful loss, Marty looked outward and focused his attention on ways to serve his local community. Perseverance. Marty found a lifeline in his weekly volunteer shifts here at Hillsborough County's Veterans Memorial Park and Museum. Marty served on multiple committees to plan the memorials and monuments built throughout our park. Marty gave his time generously and devoted the last decade of his life to honor our fallen and all of our veterans, whether they served in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan, or wherever they served around the globe. While volunteering inside the museum, Marty learned that an eligible, honorably discharged military veteran who left school to enter the armed forces could obtain a regular high school diploma simply by filling out some paperwork. Thanks to the support of Hillsborough County's Consumer and Veteran Services and Newsom High School, Marty got lots of media attention as graduate number 601 of the Newsom High School class of 2017. Marty got to travel by limo, participated in the graduation breakfast, walked in the graduation ceremony, and he got to pose with adoring teenagers such as Frank Strom's daughter. I don't know if that was at the prom or not. During an interview, Marty admitted, "I may not say it, but it really does mean a lot to me. I've already made a spot for my diploma on my mantle." So at age 83, Marty was finally a high school graduate. Perseverance. Marty was one of the park's most consistent volunteers and ever-present tour guides. While greeting visitors for the Wreaths Across America event in 2019, Marty fell, hit his head, and broke his arm. While at home recovering from his injuries, he fell again and was unable to lift himself up. Thank God, after laying on the floor for 11 hours by himself, his friend Bob Silver found him and likely saved Marty's life that day. Marty bounced back from his injuries, but lost his driving privileges as a result of his arm injury. The major setback did not deter Marty from returning to the Veterans Memorial Park and volunteering at the museum as often as possible. Perseverance. Marty and I became friends when I joined the Veterans Memorial Park Committee back in 2011. We were both war veterans from Massachusetts, and we had a great friendship that cut across the age difference. Marty was my right-hand man and was with me every step of the way to build the Iraq Veterans Memorial. Marty was in his late 70s at the time, and he would drive from Valrico to South Tampa to attend planning meetings. He even drove over an hour to Bradenton Motorsports Park to support a fundraiser, and he actually raised more money than any other volunteer at the event that day, walking around selling raffle tickets. Marty was there with me when the 6-foot-tall Battle Cross statue monument was installed, during the groundbreaking ceremony, at the ribbon cutting dedication ceremony, and even with me afterwards when I was interviewed by the local media. Marty was like family to me. Marty was at all the fundraiser events with me and my wife Jamie. He met my parents and brother, my newborn daughter at the time, at the Iraq Veterans Memorial dedication. Marty adored my daughter Nadia and kept in touch daily on Facebook through the years. I miss talking with Marty and eating at restaurants together. I miss watching movies at the movie theater, and every time I see Raisinets, I think of Marty, his favorite candy. The news of Marty's death hit me hard. I regret not spending more time with him, but I'm grateful for the time we shared. I learned a lot from Marty. He overcame losses and hardships, but throughout his life, he always kept a positive attitude, which reminded me of this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. All the water in the world cannot drown you unless it gets inside of you. What I learned most from Marty is that all the negativity in the world cannot drown you if you don't let it inside you. You're never too old to make a difference in your community, and it's never too late to leave a positive impact on the lives you touch. Special thanks to Marty Ryan and Anastasia Dawson for contributing details about Marty Sullivan's life that were a source of inspiration for my dedication remarks. Huge thanks to Bob Silsmer for leading the effort to erect a granite bench in our park, and to everyone who contributed to funding the bench that bears a stunning likeness of Marty. There's a photo on there, you gotta go check it out. I encourage you to walk over to see the bench on the path just outside the Korea Memorial. And in case you don't get a chance, the bench reads as follows. Thank you, Marty, for selflessly dedicating over a decade of your life to volunteering at the Veterans Memorial Park and Museum. Forever grateful for your devotion to honoring veterans and fallen. Marty, we miss you every single day. Thank you. And to all of you, welcome home.
Thank you, Mark. Marty was really a truly exceptional individual. The first memorial to be constructed at this park was a tribute to the Vietnam War veterans. And part of that memorial included the one honoring the women who served during that time frame. Later, we added a statue of a dog because it meant so much to all of us who served during Vietnam. To give us a little background on that, I've asked Bob Simson to come up because he was instrumental in making all those things happen. So Bob, if you would, just give us a little bit.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, come on. Morning, Bob. About time, too. Glad you woke up. All you bikers out there, thank you for coming. We appreciate it when you show up. We'd like to see more of you. Okay, now to the hard stuff. Vietnam Memorial. Did you know that these helicopters both served in Vietnam? Yep. Honestly, they did. The Huey came from Fort Knox, and the Cobra came from Fort Drum, New York. Original design of the memorial was a product of Jim Basta and myself and our committee. The mural on the back of the memorial itself was done by Army illustrator Tim Lawn, who has many illustrations hanging in the Pentagon. So we're very lucky to have Tim work on a lot of different projects out here at the park. Korean Memorial. Here's an interesting story. That's what I'm doing, I'm telling stories. The flag on the panel listing the veterans was created upside down and had to be corrected. The design was by Eddie Cole, president of the Korean Veterans of Hillsborough County, who was born and raised in South Korea during the Korean War, and as a child would provide information about the North Korean forces and their movements to the United States forces and later immigrated to this country and joined the United States Army. Now the flag sat there upside down for, probably 3 years. We had a Korean general here, we've had Korean people here. Nobody ever noticed the flag was upside down until we had a minister from California who was on vacation, was out here looking at it, and had reported it to us that the flag was upside down. And after we looked at it, he was right. We were wrong. We've been wrong for 3 years on it, but we fixed it. World War I Memorial was originally designed to be a two-sided trench, but it had to be redesigned to be one-sided due to financial constraints. The boulders are made of foam blocks and shaped and painted by hand, and we have applied to have it repainted in the 2023 budget. This memorial required many hours of research to make sure that all of those that served from Hillsborough County were accounted for. War Dog Memorial. This is my baby. I love the War Dog Memorial. I was sitting across the street at the 301 Diner one day, and a friend of mine, Pastor Tim Marshall, were sitting over there. We're having breakfast, shooting the breeze, and I mentioned to him about putting up a bronze War Dog Memorial in the Vietnam Memorial. We got talking, and I found out that he was a dog handler during that time. Happened to have a picture of his dog. His dog's name is Sandy. And I said, wow, that's quite a picture. That'd be nice to have that memorial over there. So, well, guess what? We went ahead and built a damn memorial. And we called it Sandy. And we put her ID inside of her left ear. So you can't call her anything else but Sandy. So anyways, Ted and I got over that and enjoyed our coffee and our breakfast. So we went along and had a memorial built. That's what we do out here. We build memorials. Seminole Indian War. When this memorial was designed, we envisioned a much taller earth mound in the center than what we currently have. But once again, the county stepped in and says, oh, no, you can't have that 6 foot tall. It can only be 4 foot tall. So we had to have 2 foot of dirt scraped off the top, made it 4 foot tall, made the county happy. They let us continue to build the memorial. The Women's Memorial. For the first time in America's history, a memorial that honors women's patriotic service was dedicated in the nation's capital, placed beside their brother soldiers on the hallowed grounds of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. We decided we wanted to do something to honor all the women veterans. So through research, we found out who made the memorial. That's in D.C. We had to get her permission to go ahead and have it done in granite. Her and her committee approved that. We had to get the sculptor's permission. We had to get, 6 or 7 different permissions to have it done. Anyways, we got, as far as we know, the only women's memorial that looks like the one in DC, except it's on black granite, and we have it here in this park. And we should feel honored that we were able to honor all the women veterans of all the different branches of service. The Civil War. This was an interesting memorial. Probably, I wouldn't say it was the best time, but we had a good time putting this memorial together.
Oh, no,
If you walk over there and look at the Civil War Memorial, you'll notice that white marble throughout, except from one spear to another, it's blue marble. Does anybody know why? Well, I'll tell you. It's the Hillsborough River. It runs blue from here to there. There were Civil War conflicts on this side, and there were Civil War conflicts on this side. I wasn't there. I'm only telling you what I know. So, I think we've kind of covered a lot of different things, but the one thing I really want to tell you, this park is absolutely fantastic. And if we make a mistake at this park, which we've been known to do, not too often, we usually blame it on somebody else, but it ends up being our fault. We go ahead and get it fixed. And the only reason we get it fixed is because there's a little guy back here with a marine haircut to get rid of his gray hair. Allows it to be fixed, and he pays for it. Where else can you go and have that done? Anyways, Frank Strom, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I talk more, but this guy here wants to get up and talk a little bit more, so I'm going to let him get up. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob. I've been remiss. I didn't give our county commissioners an opportunity. So with your indulgence, Cohen, would you like to speak, sir?
We really, I think Commissioner Myers and I are so touched by what we heard here today that we don't really have anything additional to add. But we do want to welcome everyone here on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, on behalf of Councilman Vieira, and let you know how special it is for us to be able to spend this time with you. We care very deeply about this park. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. It really means a lot to us. But we're going to do something that we do every welcome home ceremony. We're going to recognize the current living veterans. So, if you serve in the armed forces on the dates previously mentioned by Mr. Dunning, and that's 1 November 1955 to 15 May 1975, regardless of your location, regardless of your service, regardless of whether you served in the war itself, and you have not received your Vietnam lapel pin, I would ask you to please come forward. We have tried to do this in the past with actually rank. Come on in, guys. Come on up. Members of the chapter will present you your pin and explanation of the pin. In the past, we've tried to do this a regular military formation, and every time it ended up a gaggle, so we're just going to keep it a gaggle, folks. While they gather, we ask the surviving spouses of Vietnam-era veterans to stand. The ladies of the Vietnamese community of Tampa Bay would like to honor you by presenting a rose. So if you'd please stand, and you got your roses? Okay. If she misses you, please wave. While this is going on, folks, I would like to read parts of the proclamation from our governor. Vietnam War Memorial Day in Florida. Whereas throughout the history of the United States, patriotic men and women have taken up arms and sworn an oath to defend our nation, establishing an honorable tradition of dedicated service. And whereas more than 3 million men and women served in the Vietnam War, with more than 58,000 making the ultimate sacrifice, more than 304,000 being wounded, and more than 1,500 still missing. And whereas Florida is recognized as one of the most military and veteran-friendly states in the nation, with 1.5 million veterans calling Sunshine State home. Whereas during March, Women's Veterans History Month, we recognize and honor the women veterans of Florida who served during the Vietnam War. Whereas the patriotism of those in uniform who contribute to defend the timeless truth and great freedoms upon which our nation was founded and continues to make our state and nation proud, and serves as an inspiration to generations to come. Whereas we always honor the legacy of our Vietnam veterans who served and were wounded or lost their lives in battle, and can never repay our debt of gratitude for the courage they demonstrated. And whereas the 5th annual Vietnam War Veterans Day is an opportunity to honor all Vietnam veterans and their families and recognize the enormous contribution they continue to make to our state. Now, therefore, I, Ron DeSantis, Governor of the state of Florida, do hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing March 29th, 2022 as Vietnam War Veterans Day in Florida. In witness thereof, I here to attach my name, 29 March 2020. We get everybody? All right. Almost. Thank you to the surviving spouse. Thank you to Vietnam veterans. And again, welcome home. If you would, we'll now recognize those who gave their last full measure of devotion. Please stand. Please be seated. Thank you to the Marine Corps League, again, an outstanding job. Before I end in this ceremony, I'd like Marty Ryan to please come forward. Marty with an I. Come on, somebody's got to have charge. Marty, get up, please. Come forward. This lady keeps this part going. She does much for all of us, and it's only appropriate that we recognize her. Grown long overdue. So we say we appreciate you for your continued support of our various activities at the Veterans Memorial Park in Hillsborough County. Thank you for indulging us in some personal things. We really enjoyed it. It wouldn't be an event at the park if we didn't have closing remarks. But prior to those, we'd like to have Chaplain Ted Marshall please come forward with the benediction.
First of all, I want to thanks for all you for showing up today. I know there's 100 things that you could be doing today, but it's so important, and this day is very special. And it's a very special day also to me. You see, that canine dog is my Sandy. I was a canine handler in Vietnam, and because of people from this park showed so much love and so much devotion. And when Bob and I had that talk, he missed out a little bit of the story. You see, when we put that memorial idea together, and he said he wanted to use Sandy, I was really struck. It just touched my heart. I got a phone call from him, and he said that if you know any canine guys, we really need to raise some money. It's going to cost about $5,000 or so for this memorial. Yeah, you too. That's right. That was right on cue. So I started contacting my friends and so forth, and was just a little after a week, I got a phone call from Bob, and he says, Ted, don't ask for any more money, or don't go out and ask for money for that project. Of course, my heart sunk. You know, we've been disappointed before, and I thought, oh, this is not going to happen. And he says, it's paid for completely. The people of Hillsborough County, the Veterans Associations here, these wonderful, wonderful people paid it within 2 weeks. Wow. Thank you. In this park, you see sidewalks that lead everywhere. They go from the Civil War, from the Indian War, Seminole Indian War, all the way to the present. The visitors walk along this path, and they come to an understanding. They see that, they begin to understand what sacrifice means. They begin to understand that each one of these places that these sidewalks and these paths connect to are important for our history, for our well-being. Walking along these paths is a special spirit. And connecting, sometimes as you walk, there's some of us that spirit connects to quickly. That special spirit knows us and will walk with us. That person, that special spirit represents a hero. It represents a hero to me. A hero that took care of us, loved and protected us, sacrificed his whole being to save us. From the Vietnam War, they waited for us to return. See, our dogs in Vietnam were left behind. Out of 4,000 dogs that served in Vietnam, only a handful returned back to the United States. The government's plea, they told us that the war dogs aren't coming home. War dogs can't be returned home, which was a lie. In World War II, they had over 60,000 dogs that served in World War II. And they had a special deprogramming, boot camp, you could call it, that the dogs could come to. And after that, they received a certificate of honorable discharge and honorable service and were returned back to the families or back to those that served with. This didn't happen for us. Those are paw prints that will always be on our heart. And there's a spiritual paw print that leads out through these paths. And every now and then, that spiritual paw print will touch somebody's heart and lead them to a special place. Let me give you the GPS on that, how to get there. Or you can follow me after this. And it all starts at Sandy. And it all starts with Jesus Christ. I believe the good Lord created the dog to be a friend to mankind. He knew we needed help. He also knew he wanted us to see what unconditional love is and what it looks like. I'm a dog man. As I served the Air Force Security Police with my canine partner, Sandy, I come to understand that there's a certain bond that we have. It's not a pet. It's not just something you hang around with or throw a ball to. This is a very special trained military asset. And beyond that, it's your best friend. You see, I could trust him with anything. I talked to him a lot. I told him about everything in my life. And if you ever had a German Shepherd and you talk to him, you ever notice they kind of tilt their head when you're talking to him? Mine would do that. Then I'd say something stupid and he'd tilt his head the other way. Are you really that dumb? Yeah, I was. That's a very special bond that we have. I'm also grateful for the men of the Suncoast Vietnam veterans, the last patrol, and we're a dog man with them. We've been so for almost 30 years. We've been out here at the park, and thank you guys for having us when we come out to serve. I put my trust in the canine dog. I learned how to read him. I learned how to understand that he would tell me where trouble was. See, he could see better than I could at night, 10 times better. He could smell better than I could at night. And his sense of hearing was incredible. Where does that special love and loyalty come from? Courage, devotion that dogs have for us, where does that come from? They put us more important than their own lives. They're willing to give it up to protect us. Dogs love us more than they love themselves. That's unconditional love. I believe the love is from God. He tells us so. Just spell dog backwards. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the time that we're able to spend with our friends, our loved ones, and above all, thank you, Lord, for those men and women that serve today, that served yesterday, and that will serve tomorrow, because there's a special blessing that you put in their heart of self-sacrifice, of service and love. And I pray in the name above all names, I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I know you've been waiting for it. In person, Walt Rysick with closing remarks.
Thank you, Jim. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's been a beautiful Tampa Bay event today. Outstanding. April 9th at 10 o'clock at the Field of Honor will be our quarterly Field of Honor. Even though hostilities have ceased over in the war theater, we still report on those missing in action, recovered remains, as well as active duty deaths resulting from training accidents and so forth. And sad to report, we lost an Osprey V-22 in Norway, and 4 of our Marines were killed. And at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, there was a rollover accident of a transport vehicle killing 2 Marines. And as I get them through the media, I do report. So we will have some active duty deaths to report, along with about 40 recovered remains from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. We'll also have the Blue Star Brothers of Tampa Bay present 2 Gold Star banners to families of a Navy officer, female, and a Pensacola sailor who was killed, unfortunately, by a terrorist. You might remember a while back. So we will have that ceremony. So again, come on out and join us, 10 o'clock, April 9th, Saturday. We also have the annual submarine memorial on Saturday, April 16th at 10 o'clock. They're excited to return to the park post-COVID, and they will bring a model of a submarine on a small trailer to showcase here at the park. Also, for today, the James A. Haley Mobile Vaccination Unit will be here until 12 noon only. COVID shots, boosters, flu shots. We just need to let the folks know that the unit has to shove off a bit early, so make the best of the time. Please visit other outreach specialists as well as all here on Saturday to serve you. Do walk over to the picnic pavilion, which is over by the museum. The Vietnamese community of Tampa Bay will provide authentic cuisine along with good American VFW plump hot dog, tube steak, prime, and have some fun and fellowship, including performance of the majestic Tiger Lion Dance of Tampa. This tradition symbolizes goodwill, good fortune, and protection. And thank those young student performers for this expression of gratitude and cultural exchange. And lastly, Frank would like to know if you'll send over, never mind. That sounds like the administration. Anyway, everybody enjoy today, the rest of the day. Join over the refreshments. Okay. All right, Jim.
Thank you for your time. Just one, I've been asked to cover a couple things. Item number 1, Mission Barbecue, 29th of March, which is Tuesday. Free sandwich for Vietnam veterans. And the one over on Highway 60 and Bruce B. Downs are also holding ceremonies honoring Vietnam veterans during the lunchtime period, 11:30, 12 o'clock. So,
and Town and Country.
What's that?
And Town and Country.
And Town and Country. I believe it's at all locations, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, thanks to the Mission Barbecue. And then lastly, we don't know how much longer we're going to be doing this, folks. But as long as you want to be here, we want to be here with you. And so let's all stay on the green side of the grass. Thank you.